You're only getting one component of today's podcast, and do you know what, frankly? It shows a metaphor for two teams playing right now. Well, they have some of the things lined up, but they're missing something important. This is Locked On MLB.
You are Locked On MLB. Your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Thank you so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen, as we're available on all your free podcasting catchers. You can follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter. Same handle for Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Hey, you may notice, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're just seeing the logo right now. If you're listening to this on your regular podcasting catcher, guess what? Your pal Sully is right here. How you doing? Doing well. Thanks for asking. But here in YouTube land, I'm having some issues. And I decided to go for it anyway. I was going to post a podcast yesterday, which was Friday, the 6th day of May. The issue still isn't fixed, so I'm plowing through. I'm giving you an audio-only podcast today. Although it does exist on YouTube, as I said, you see the logo. So, how am I going to tie this in to anything in Major League Baseball? Very simply, there are two teams out there that have some of the elements for a successful season this year. They've got pitching. Both of these teams have much better pitching than I think you realize. And guess what? They both can field. They both are playing some pretty decent defense. But neither of these teams are hitting worth a lick. And it's coming to bite them in the tuchus. One of them lost 1-0 today on Saturday. The other took a 1-0 lead into the ninth and wound up losing 3-1. So these two teams combined for 1 run today, despite getting, obviously, decent pitching. You can't play a major league team, hold them to a single run over 9 innings, and not pat yourself on the back for having a decent pitching performance. But lo and behold, here we sit. The Oakland A's and the Boston Red Sox are two teams that can't hit worth a lick. And do you know what? They're both immersed in just humiliating losing streaks right now. Losing streaks that would frankly be blamed on bullpen issues. The A's are on an 8-game losing streak. The Red Sox are on a 4-game losing streak. The Red Sox have lost 7 of their last 10 games. The A's have lost 9 of their last 10 games. Guess what? They're both in the cellar right now. And you can be quick to point out some of the flaws in the Red Sox bullpen, especially what happened in the series they had recently against the Angels, where they won the first game of that series and they had a lead with 2 outs and 2 strikes in the 9th inning with images of a sweep dancing in their head for an early game on Monday. Then the bullpen could not throw a strike, and next thing you know, the Angels tied the game in the 9th, went on a 6-run rally in the 10th, and then Shohei Ohtani did everything but sell peanuts at Fenway Park as he got big RBI hits, struck out 11, pitched 7 shutout innings. Gee whiz, if only the Red Sox in their history could have a home run hitting pitcher. But I digress. So the Red Sox got, humiliated in that series and then lost these games to the Chicago White Sox, where, as I mentioned before, they had a 1-0 lead going into the 9th. And on Friday's game, it was 4-2. 4-2. That's not great, but that's not terrible. It's really only one bad inning that Nathan Eovaldi had. He had that 3-run rally early in the game, and the team held the Chicago White Sox, not a bad team, off to a clunky start, but somehow finding their way to win, and held them to, save for that one rally. The 3-run rally they had early in the game, they held them to 1 run the rest of that game, and 1 run for the first 9 innings of today's game. That's decent pitching. Oakland went up against the Minnesota Twins on Friday, lost 2-1. Today they lost 1-0. But let's flip that. They held the first place Twins to 3 runs at home over 2 games. You've got to be thrilled with that pitching performance. And what do they have to show for it? Boom, they're behind Texas. Boom, the Red Sox are behind the Baltimore Orioles. I didn't think that was possible. So here we are. Are the Red Sox a last place team? No. But I didn't pick them to go to the playoffs. Ironically, I didn't pick them to go to the playoffs because I didn't have faith in their pitching staff. Well, they're getting decent pitching now. And they can't hit. They cannot get the big hit. And the A's, it's ridiculous. I'm not saying I would start on the A's, but I'd platoon. And look it, I get it. Every team has its peaks and valleys. But pretty soon, we're going to be in mid-May. Before you know it, it's going to be the first real checkpoint of the season, which is Memorial Day. The end of May is the first time, and maybe you could push it to a couple weeks into June, fine. That's the first time you can, because there was the lockout and the beginning of the season was pushed about 10 days or whatever it was, fine. We still got 162 games, all right? They've played what? Not even, they've played, 27 games out of 162. Obviously, there's a lot of time to turn around. But the dangerous thing for both of these teams right now is they're playing in hyper-competitive divisions. The Yankees are off to, they've been rained out the last couple of days. They've been obviously extraordinary. Tampa Bay and Toronto are obviously 2 very, very good teams. The Angels are playing wonderfully. And guess what they're getting? They're getting pitching. I've been screaming about why can't you put a pitching staff around the Angels? Their pitching's been marvelous. And look at where they are. They're in first place, a game and a half ahead of Houston going into Saturday's game. A full game in the loss column. And Seattle has stumbled, but they'll right the ship. There's too much talent in Seattle for them to have a losing season. Texas, I still don't think much of anything. But you have these hyper-competitive divisions. And Oakland evidently can play in a competitive manner, and they have a 9-game losing streak to show for it. Imagine if they start pitching poorly. Imagine if things start to fall off the rails defensively. So what do you do? What do you do at this point? One thing you don't do is panic and make a gigantic trade. Okay? That's what you don't do. But one thing you can do is look at your own farm system and say, is there somebody who we can pull up and maybe give the team a jolt? Maybe sort of shake the proverbial Etch-a-Sketch. Add something new to the frame. You saw it happen with the Yankees last year when they brought up a bunch of kids, like Greg Allen, a bunch of those people who would steal bases, play with some enthusiasm, and the Yankees started to turn their ship around. Now, none of those guys were around by the time they made the wild card game, but for a period of time, it woke the team up, jolted them. You take a look at the Oakland A's. They have in their minor league, their top minor league team has, which is in Las Vegas. Oh boy, isn't that convenient? The A's happen to have a team in Las Vegas. They have a player named Shea Langeliers. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Neither do you. Former first-round draft pick for the Atlanta Braves. He's hitting the tar out of the ball. He has a high OPS, high average, already has double-digit home runs. Yeah, Las Vegas is a hitter's paradise. Guess what? See what he can do. If he's playing in AAA, and he played in AAA last year for a few games, and is playing in AAA now, bring him up. Bring him up now. Maybe, just maybe, that could be a jolt for the team. Maybe the excitement of a young player could be like the Clayton kid who the Minnesota Twins brought up. Could be a little jolt. How could it be worse than the way the offense is playing right now? That may be just something to sort of give the team some excitement. As for the Red Sox, Well, there's two players that they could potentially call up right now. I'm not saying these are players who are going to, it's suddenly going to be like, Ken Griffey Jr. and Albert Pujols combined coming up, but maybe that young player, that exciting young player on the team could give them a little spark. Jarren Duran was up there a couple times last year. He's made a cameo this year. Bring him up again. They need a spark in their lineup. Triston Casas. Is that how you pronounce his name? Casas? Sorry, a lot of times I don't say these players' names. He's their top hitting prospect. He's hitting okay. He's a first baseman. The Red Sox are getting gotch out of their first base production. And do you know what? The way either one of these teams are playing, I think there's no room for saying, well, we don't want to upset this veteran. F them! They're not hitting. And maybe this will light a fire under them. Or maybe this will give the team a spark. But you got to try something. And there are already players within their system, and all you got to do is say, hey, why don't you come on up? Do it! Now! Give the team a spark. Because, look it breaks your heart if you're an A's fan and you see some of the tremendous pitching they're getting. If their offense was up to the level of mediocre, this is like a reverse Angels. The Angels brought their pitching staff up. And now look at them, they're in first place. If the A's, with the way they've been pitching, were hitting in just a mediocre level, I'm not saying they'd be contending right now, but this 9-game losing streak would be what? 5-4 instead of 0-9. The Red Sox had a couple of timely hits. It's very convenient to blame the bullpen. And yes, the Red Sox bullpen is horribly constructed. But guess what? They're not hitting. There are too many games that are 2-1, 1-0 going into the 9th. When's the last time they got the big bases clearing double? Or the big clutch home run? Either of these teams. Grinding out a single run is just, it's agonizing. Reach on down. Pull out someone from your own farm system and see what you got. Do I think that it's going to give the team a ring? Not necessarily, but it very well could be giving the team, I don't know, that great memory to make this not a lost season. And maybe then you can go for a ring. And guess what? If you want to have jewelry and mix that jewelry with, I don't know, great moments in your life, head on over to BlueNile.com. They have the finest jewelry options for every mom because it's Mother's Day tomorrow. Shop high-quality classic diamond earrings, elegant tennis bracelets, or gemstone pendant necklaces. Mark Mother's Day with something enduring, a classic diamond stud earrings, elegant birthstone pendants. Sorry, that was a lot coming out of my mouth. So much more. It's on BlueNile.com. And here's what you got to do. Mother's Day is tomorrow. Give mom something she'll treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On MLB listeners will get $50 off any purchase of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive is only good through Mother's Day. Use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's code LOCKEDONMLB. Plus every order is insured, ships for free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Sorry, that first segment took a lot of energy out of me. And do you know what? I am going to replenish my energy with a Built Bar, the best tasting protein bars out there. They're healthy, they're delicious. No more sacrificing delicious food for health. With Built Bar, you can have both. And guess what? The Built Bars and the fantastic puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means with Built Bar, you can eat healthy and actually enjoy doing it. The puffs are fantastic. They come in great flavors like, banana cream pie, churro. Who doesn't want a protein bar that tastes like a churro? And they're only 140 calories. And if you don't like that flavor, try something else. Try the mixed box. Comes with 12 flavors of bars and puffs. There's something for everybody. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams sugar, 4 grams of net carb, and 17 grams of protein. It's like a candy bar, but it's good for you. Go to Built.com to get all your favorite flavors. Banana cream pie, raspberry, which is my favorite, double chocolate, and so many more. They're all delicious, and new flavors are coming out all the time. Check them out at Built.com. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCK15. Get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. I'm recording this on Saturday. There's a bunch of games still going on. Clayton Kershaw looks like he's back to his old ways. Pitched 7 shutout innings and looked fantastic. The couple of finals, the Guardians lost the first game 8-3 to Toronto, but won the second game 8-2. I mentioned the Red Sox. I mentioned the A's. The Astros squeaked by the Tigers by a final of 3-2. A bunch of other games are still going on right now as I'm recording this. Hey, I have a real question to ask. Honestly, just imagine, if the other day when the Mets were playing the Phillies and the Phillies were winning 7-1 in the 8th inning, if the Phillies try to steal a base or sacrifice a runner over or go aggressively first to third on a hit, would that have been considered disrespectful? Would that not have fit into old school? Would that have been the wrong thing to do? I ask that because the Phillies had a 7-1 lead, and the Mets scored 7 runs in the 9th inning, 4 of them with 2 outs, to tie the game and ultimately take the lead. At 7-1 in the 8th inning, in the bottom of the 8th inning, you think that game's over. It's done. And let's say they stole a base, where they say, what? No class. You'll get a ball in the we're going to drill your next hitter. You're showing up the team. Where's the sportsmanship? And yet, as it turned out, the Phillies needed more than 7 runs to win that game. They need to keep piling on runs. I ask that honestly because I don't understand the people who say, like, oh, come on. You're stealing a base. You're up by 8. Come on. Oh, you're not pulling your player. You're still trying hard. You're still running hard from second base. Oh, come on. What, are you trying to show the team up? No. This is baseball. You can't drop to a knee and run out the clock. You can't play a zone trap defense or whatever they call it in hockey, where they basically just slap the puck around for a while and kill 25 seconds at a time. You can't run a basketball play where you run down 23 out of the 24 seconds. You can't do that in baseball. You have to get the 27 outs. And if you're losing 7-1 in the 9th inning, you can still win that game. You can lose that. You can lose a game. You're winning 10-0. I've seen it happen. We've all seen it happen. So I ask, if Joe Girardi sent his runners going, would that have been bad sportsmanship? Would that not have been old school? Why is old school always better? That's old school. Some old school is stupid. Some old school is terrible. But some old school is just dumb. So why, just because you play in a certain way, we play a game in a certain right way of playing it. Yeah, it's called scoring more runs than the other team. If you don't want a player hitting a home run or if he was stealing a base, throw him out. Don't throw a junk pitch. I thought of that when I saw that rally. And it was unbelievable. And it was everything I love about baseball. Just the sight that the game's not over till the final out is made. But with that being said, I kept thinking about, wow, what if they sent in a pinch runner to sort of squeeze one more run out of it? Or brought in his ace reliever to get out of a jam? Because there are people who talk about things being, oh, that's not good sportsmanship and everything. They're the unwritten rules. These are the unwritten rules of baseball. I think I should make this as perfectly clear as I possibly can. If you're up 19-0 in the 9th inning and you think you can squeeze bunt that 20th run in, do it. Do it. That's what baseball is. You've got to get those outs. I don't ever want to hear anyone say, oh, they're running up the score. They're trying to humiliate the other team. No. They know the other team. That's actually a sign of respect. That's a sign of respect for the other team. if you try to squeeze that extra run in. You try to push the score a little more. That's the most respect you can give to any team. You're saying to them, we think you can still come back. We think you're that good. That's smart school. Oh, the old school, I'm sorry. There's too much reverence to old school. There's a lot of dumb happened in the past. Oh, there's stuff to respect and there's stuff that, but you know what? Do it on a case-by-case basis. If your only answer is that's the way we've been doing in the past, then chances are you don't have a good reason for doing something. Old school, unwritten rules. Score as many runs as possible. Guess what? Towards the end of the year, the Mets and the Phillies might be pretty close to each other. The National League East is going to be intense, and the Phillies want in on it. They've spent a fortune on this team, and they've barely had one winning season since Ryan Howard collapsed in a heap at the end of the 2011 division series against St. Louis. And they've had some big stars come on that team. And now look where they are. They were barely above 500 last year, and that's by far the best season they've had since the 2011 postseason. They haven't sniffed the playoffs since then. And they're in a division with the Mets, with the defending champion Braves, and with a Marlins team that seems to be regressing a little bit, but they're still pretty tough. And oh yeah, the MVP might be playing in Washington. They need every game they can get, and you can't lose dumb games. And they lost as dumb a game as you can get. So keep pushing those runs across. Get as many as you can. Yeah, I understand. It's a long shot. It's not a surefire bet that your team's going to win if you're losing 7-1. But do you know what? Those long shots come in. And someone, I bet, made a lot of money on that comeback. And if you're going to make any bets, go to betonline.net. It's your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, Major League Baseball, and this weekend's Run for the Roses at the Kentucky Derby. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and actions. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. And hey, thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen. Your next listen, hey, do you know what it should be? It should be Locked On Now. Locked On Now is the best podcast for Major League Baseball games, recaps, and analysis from our local experts, taking fans through the season like no other network. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. It's Mother's Day. It's tomorrow. I'm going to be dropping a Mother's Day episode. And let's see how many games are not going to be washed out. Supposedly there is a double header between the Mets and the Phillies, between the Kansas City Royals and the Orioles, the Rangers and the Yankees. It is going to be supposedly doubleheader heaven tomorrow. Unless, of course, the weather has something to do with it. I hope we get all these games in. We need more doubleheaders. And do you want, you know, I've been fervently against Ghost Runner on second. I think I've been pretty clear about that. But do you want one of the changes from the COVID season I was not too terribly mad at? I didn't mind the 7-inning doubleheaders. I really didn't. I thought I was going to hate them. Baseball's 9. Chomping on my cigar, pining for the Polo Grounds. But when those doubleheaders were being played, both in the COVID year, that's kind of like, you know what, we had to do what we had to do. I mean, even Ghost Runner on second during the COVID years, I got it. We're trying to end these games soon. I understand. Last year I thought it was a catastrophe, and this year it's a catastrophe. But last year they kept the 7-inning doubleheader. I thought, you know what, these are actually kind of fun. This is actually kind of fun. We get 2 games in, but there's a sense of urgency to these games. Now, by that rationale, do we cut the entire game down to 7 innings? No, but you're not going to have that many doubleheaders anyway. And I kind of felt like, you know what, this is like Reader's Digest baseball. It adds to the fury. because you want to get 2 wins that day. You can get as many as 2 wins. You're going to play 14 innings. But are you going to get, when you're losing in the 5th or 6th inning, suddenly the wheels are spinning. And you're thinking, oh boy, we better get something going. We better get something going now. We only have 1 more inning left. And inevitably you forget that. Inevitably, during any doubleheader game, you think, well, it's the 6th inning. If we score a run here, and oh, wait, no, I forgot. We don't get those other 2 innings. Boys, get the bats a-swinging. And, we've gone back to the 9-inning doubleheaders. It's not a hill I'm willing to die on. But it's one of these things that there are people like, my good friend Javi from Locked On Padres who thinks I'm too set in my ways and I don't like the change in certain things. No, this is a change. That would be a change I'd be for. I think it's fun. And a day like tomorrow, hopefully, you know what? If there's a higher power up there, it's Mother's Day. Let's keep the rain away for another day, shall we? Or if it has to rain, have it rain where there's no game being played there. Because some of us, we're in a drought here in California, for God's sakes. Aim the rain to the places where there's a dome or there's a drought with no team playing. That'd be kind of fun. But anyway, we've got a full slate of games coming out there. And hey, the Red Sox and the A's are in the middle of gigantic funks right now. And they're doing the hard part. They're pitching well. That's what's so bananas about this. So take my advice, you 2 teams. Reach to your farm system, fix within, and while we're at it, play for the runs right to the end. Lord knows the Red Sox and the A's could certainly use them. But hey, thanks for listening. We got a full slate of podcasts coming out. Hopefully some of them will be more video podcasts. We will see. We shall see. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pod, same handle for Instagram. I'm your pal Sully at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Giving you the audio, and soon the video again. This is Locked On MLB for the 7th day of May, 2022. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.